Welcome back to this shop. I have here a 2016 KX250F. It doesn't run. Now the owner's been working on this thing for a little while, trying to get it up and going. Some of the things he told me that he put into it, if I can remember correctly, was a new fuel pump, spark plug, put a whole new hot wire harness on it, put a new stator on it. Here's the original stator he pulled out. Put a new CDI on it. Here's the CDI he pulled out. Put a new ignition coil on it. There's the ignition coil he pulled out. And he's probably done other things as well. Again, he had so much information for me, I couldn't quite remember it all. But I'm going to start from square one here and just dig through it. Let's see if we can figure this thing out. Well, first things first, before I go kicking my brains off on this thing. Let's see, how much gas is in here? And what does it smell like? It's a little low on gas, but there's some in there. There should be enough to start it up. Let me take a whiff. It smells good enough. It doesn't smell like 100% fresh, but it smells good enough to fire. Should be okay. So let me turn the choke on and give it some good kicks, see what happens. Things are hard to find. Well, it was already on. Alright. Plus, this will give me a chance to feel how it feels on the Kickstarter. How does the compression feel? Well, I mean, it feels like the compression might be a little soft. I can definitely feel some pulses with it. These four-strokes can be pretty deceiving. They can sometimes feel like they have good compression even when they don't, just because you got to remember you're turning camshafts, you're opening and closing valves. It's not like a two-stroke when they lose compression, the Kickstarter literally goes limp. These things can still sometimes give you the impression that there's compression. And it's kind of giving me that impression that it does have it, but let's keep digging in. Next thing I'm going to do is pull the seat, and yeah, let me pull the seat off real quick and lift the tank up. Okay, I pulled the shrouds off and have all the hardware out for the seat and the tank. Lift it up. I'm going to remove the fuel line here off the tank, but I'm going to leave the electrical connector on. All I want to do here is kick it, and let's just see if it shoots out fuel. All I'm checking, I'm not checking the PSI or the flow of the fuel pump yet. I'm just checking to make sure the power is getting to the fuel pump. And that it works to some degree. There's no fuel coming out of that. So either we have a dead fuel pump, or we have no power getting to the fuel pump. So let's see. Let me go ahead and disconnect the electrical line for the fuel pump. Alright. Just looking at these wires right here on the KXs, and it looks pretty, yeah, it doesn't look too healthy right here. These like to break right here if they're yanked too hard, and we might be dealing with that, but let's see. You know what? Let me try something real quick. I'm gonna pull the spark plug out. We're gonna drop a few drops of fuel in there. Let's just see if this thing barks up. Let's check for spark 2 while we're at it. I'm suspecting, obviously without fuel it's never gonna run, but I want to make sure that we have at least a good motor here and stuff. All right. Oh, what I do with my ratchet? There it is. And while we have the spark plug out, we're gonna just check, make sure it has spark. Make sure the electrical system is lighting up to some degree. Let's see if she has a heartbeat. I think that's it. Let me get a magnet to grab that. Alright. Surely looks like a nice brand new plug, so that's good. Just rest it on the, where can I put it at? Maybe we can see it on camera. And hopefully I don't knock the camera over while I'm kicking the bike, like I just did there. Alright, there we go. Shut off my light. Let's give it some kicks and see what we got. Hey, Yeah, we got spark. So that's good. We have spark. So that's good. Okay. Now I will say for diagnosing purposes, just because you can ground the spark plug and see spark here doesn't mean the spark plug's good. I've said this in other videos before. I've seen them where they spark just fine outside the bike, but when you put them in the cylinder and you try to get the bike to start up, the bike won't start up. You put a new plug in it, and out of nowhere it fires. These plugs can fail. I believe the porcelain might crack in the middle or something, and they're going to take the path of the least resistance, the electricity. When it's outside the cylinder, it'll still be able to jump the gap, but once it's in the cylinder and under pressure, I'm just putting gas in here is what I'm doing. I don't know if you saw how much I put about that much of the syringe in there, just a little bit of fuel, raw fuel. But anyway, once the spark plug's in the cylinder and under pressure, it takes more energy to jump the gap, and at that point it's just easier to maybe jump inside the spark plug and ground out in there. So just because they spark outside doesn't mean it's good. But this does look like a brand new plug, and I'm just going to start with this one. I'm just looking to see if we can get her to bark off. I put a little bit of gas in there. If we get her to bark off, we know everything's good. We just have a fuel issue, and then we have to figure out what the fuel issue is. Put the spark plug boot back in. Okay, let's give her some kicks. Okay, because I pretty much have flooded her out with fuel, I'm going to have to crack the throttle open a little bit as I'm kicking if I want it to bark off. If you give it no throttle, there's so much fuel in the cylinder, they sometimes won't bark off. So you just crack the throttle a little bit and kick away. Oh, I heard it. You heard it? It is barking off. I'll give it one more kick. I probably already burnt up the gas in there, but let's just see. Okay. Well, I heard her bark off. I can smell exhaust fumes in here. She didn't quite like bang off, but she just a little bit. So I'm gonna, as of right now, I'm gonna say that motor is at least good enough to start up. Once we get it fixed, we get it running right, then we'll listen to the motor, make sure everything sounds good with that. But so far, I'm gonna say it's good. We have spark. Seems like the computer system's working. Let's check out that fuel tank. Okay. Put this pressure gauge on there, just in case it does do something. I don't want it shooting gas all over the shop. Let me get this on a little better. Okay, got that on there. I'm just taking some safety wire here so I can tap into these. I have a feeling that's all we're dealing with. It's just a faulty fuel pump. But let's see. Now you got to be real careful when you do this. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher available, and make sure you have a water hose available too. It helps. You want to make sure, you definitely want to make sure there's no wet with gasoline rags underneath it. You didn't spill any gas while you're playing with the tank. None dripped out of here or anything like that when you connect electrical wires to a fuel pump like this, because they like to spark as you're making that connection, and you don't want that spark setting things off. So let's see what we got. Oh, it's working. It's low on pressure, but it's working. Let me try something here. Oh, now it just jumped up in pressure. And it's working. And it's holding pressure. That is weird. It's doing good now. And the wires are handling being moved around. Alright. My next question is it not sending power to the fuel pump? So strange, it started low on pressure and jumped up though. But then again, it could have just been sitting for a long time. I was doing it again. Could just be low on fuel too. I'm trying to move the tank around a little bit to see. I can hear it wishing around in there. Well, now it's only reading 20 psi, and I can hear it wishing around. So we got something going on with this tank. But let's check the bike. Let's see if it's sending power to the fuel pump. Okay, the fuel pump connects right here. So let me put this. See if I can get this to fit in there. Yeah. All right. Let me get a test light. I'm just gonna try connecting the test light to it. I believe the bottom wire is the positive, so I'll start by connecting to that and make sure neither of these ground on the frame while we're doing this kicking. And actually, let me make this a little easier on me. I'll just connect with this. Let me put that somewhere where it's not going to ground out. I'll stick it in the air box here. I think that'll be safe. Wait, and I won't be able to see it. Duh. Alright, here, try this again. I'm just going to have to hold it. If it'll stay on. There we go. Alright, let's give it some kicks and see. I'm not seeing it light up at all, but let's try the other side. Make sure they don't short out. Oh, there it goes. So we have, you see the light? Let me see if I can get that on camera good for you. So we're getting power to the fuel pump. Wonder why it wasn't shooting fuel earlier, unless it's just a really messed up intermittent fuel pump. It's getting power. So, let's check this out one more time. Playing with the fuel pump a little bit more. I added more fuel in it and still was doing the sloshing around thing and not building pressure. And out of nowhere, it made that same sound. Whoop! And I started building pressure again. Let's disconnect it. Let's wait for the pressure to die down. And let's see if it'll build 50 psi again. Okay, you heard that makes that funny. Alright, let's see. See, now it's doing this again. So something's wrong with the pump. Alright, so let's dig into the fuel pump. Let me cap this off right here with that little rubber cap so I can flip the tank upside down without it dropping fuel all over the place. Need to pull them out. Some of these fuel pumps, you can only put them back on one way, the way they space out the hardware, but just to be safe, I usually put a line which way the outlet points. Okay, let me set this aside. Alright. That wheeze is sure a weird one. I'm wondering if one of, let me remove this. I wonder if one of the O-rings are just not sealing very good. Let's find out. And maybe, I mean, it could just be a bad pressure regulator as well. But let's see. See if anything jumps out at us. It would be nice to repair this without having to order any parts. That would be pretty cool. Kind of what I'm hoping for. But shall see. Okay, let me get something to pull them off with. Okay. I'm going to want to remember that red one went on this side. The positive. Just to be safe. Where's my Sharpie? I'll put a little positive right here. There we go. That rubber O-ring is very suspicious right there. I don't think that's large enough to seal on the body when we go in. No, there's just no way. There is just no way. But let's dig a little more here. Okay, so he put a quantum kit in it. So when he said he put a new fuel pump in it, I think that's what he was referring to. What I'm doing is I'm feeling this O-ring right here. When it slides into a seat, I want to feel a little bit of friction. So I drop it like that, and let's see. Yeah, there's friction. That one seals good. But this little guy right here, it's also missing this thing right there. That's not good. And which way did it go? There we go. I don't think that's sealing at all. I might have another one of them. I'm going to have to look. But we're going to have to replace that O-ring. Let me go see what I got. Here's what I've done. I could not find one of these little rubber seats this sits on. You need that to take up the space, or this is going to sit too low in the pump housing, and when we put the cap on it, this is not going to come in the full seat, and that's not going to seal. So what I did is I just took some rubber hose and I cut, I don't know if you can see it in there, and I cut out some little pieces that fit in there perfectly, and that's going to take up that little bit of void. I also found a rubber seal that seals on this well, so we got that in place, this in place, that O-ring's in place. Oh wait, these are supposed to go over here. There we go. If this works, I will suggest to the owner that we purchase the proper little rubber spacers instead of just running on this rig that I have. But just in case he opts out and says that's good enough, I'm okay with that for whatever reason, I'm going to go ahead and put some thread locker on these now, just in case. Because honestly, it'll probably be fine. If it works, it's probably going to continue working and be fine. But, you know, if he's anything like me, you always like to do everything as proper as you can. Alright. Okay, now I got to get these little electrical wires back up over here. Remember, I put a positive where the red wire is supposed to go. Let me start with the black one. There we go. Okay. Pop the tank. Pop it back in the tank. Remember, I put a mark there. That goes towards the mark. Grab some more thread locker here for these. I'll just use the blue stuff on these. That's really all it needs. Again, just in case he's good with the repair the way it is, if that does the trick. Again, I will suggest that we go back in and replace that with the proper spacer. But you never know. Sometimes people are good with it the way it is. Or, you know, sometimes people say, no, I'll take care of it. That you're good. You figured it out. That's enough. I'll take it home, fix it myself. And then their kid goes out and rides the bike without them knowing or whatever, you know. I just want to make sure anytime I send the bike out or I put it together, I try to put it together as safely as I can. Button this up. And we're going to test it out. Okay. I think I have everything wired up correctly. Let's see. Well, it goes right to, I mean, it's reading 55, but this gauge is a little bit off. Let's wait till it drops back down. If it does, this gauge is about 5 psi off, honestly. But they should be anywhere between like 45 to 50. I've seen them go up as high as 52 or so. I've even seen as high like 54. But this pump seems to be doing good now. I let go, it's holding pressure. Alright, let's go ahead and put it back on the bike, see what we have. I still don't think this pump is 100% because it's still dripping gas. A good pump does not drip gas, but let's see if it shoots some fuel. Yes, it does. Okay, but it does build pressure, so even though it's not sealed 100%, it does build pressure. Let's see if the bike starts. If it starts and runs, I'm going to suggest we get a whole nother kit and just start all over. Okay, the pump's back on the bike. It's going to take a lot of kicks because we have a lot of air in that fuel line. So, choke should still be on, but let me double check. Yes, it is. Okay. Let's kick away. Booyah. She runs. Alright, let me open the shop door up and get the exhaust fumes out of here. Alright, sorry for the noise. I got the fan on so I can run this bike a little bit. I checked a few things on it, made sure she has coolant. It's the first time I've ever heard her run, right? Checked the motor oil, found it a little bit low. I got that up, so I'm going to start her back up again and just get a little bit familiar with her. Died on me. I lowered the idle a little bit. It died. So I'm going to crank it back up a little bit. Start it back up. See what we got. I'm going to give it some time and see if the check engine light starts blinking. So far, so good. Yep, we're good there. Okay. Let's try lowering the idle again. For some reason you get the idle too low, she kind of just flames out and dies. Well, let's try again. Okay, she sounds a little ticky, a little rattly. I'm gonna check the valves. Let me show you. Let me start it up and I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna say she's about due for a top end. Yep, I think she's about due for a top end, honestly. I'm starting to think that's why we can't bring the idle down. Well, I'll be damned. I think she's about due for a top end. The Kickstarter is definitely feeling a little bit soft, but let me give it a second. I'll get her fired up. Okay, so here's where I'm at. I double checked. I pulled the fuel tank off, tested it again. That's still doing good. Then I put it back on the bike, connected the electrical connector to it, and had the fuel hose, the line not connected, kicked it. It's shooting gas, so I know the fuel pump's getting power. It creates the proper pressure. So then I put some gas back in the spark plug hole again to see if I can get it to bark off. It barked off, went and it died again. So we know the fuel pump's working, and we know it's getting power, and we know it's sending it fuel pressure to the injector. We know the motor's good and it barks off because I can put gas directly in the motor and get it to bark off. But now it doesn't want to run. It was running a minute ago, but now it doesn't want to run. You know, okay. I'm going to check the fuel injector. You can see someone's already been all up in here. They didn't get that stuff right, but I'll take care of that while we're in here. I'm going to pull the fuel injector out, check it out, maybe back flush it. I'm wondering if just some trash, just from the fuel line being on and off, fuel pump being replaced, all that kind of stuff has just gotten up in the injector and she's not getting fuel anymore. So let's pull that off and back flush it. It appears someone has also had this off already. They made it where you can just spin it like that. Oh, let me put it back first. I want to disconnect the oh yeah, someone's had this injector off. That's all boogered up. Ooh, that don't look like it had a good connection at all. Let me clean that connection first before I pull the whole injector off and back flush it. Let me clean that connection and let's put it back on let's put the tank back on. Because someone's had that sucker off here. They put dielectric grease in it too. I don't use dielectric grease on these terminals. I find it causes more problems than it does good. They are already rubber sealed. That should be all they need. Alright, let me pop this sucker on. Okay, it's on good. I heard it click. Alright, let me put the tank back on. We'll give it some more kicks. Alright, let's try it again. Nope. Okay, back to pulling the injector off. Alright, back to where we were. I still don't like how that feels. It feels a little loose on there. And it's clipping on, but okay. Let's see, what's it take to get this injector off here? Let me look. I won't have to take the whole throttle body off. If I just pry this up a little bit, I can get to the Phillips right here in the back. There we go. Got that loose. That's good. I don't have to pull that whole throttle body off. That definitely saves some time. Alright, let me grab a magnet to get that. Get that. Move this out of my way. There's the injector. I'm just going to disconnect it from the fuel line here. Alright, let's take it to the bench. Okay, let me go ahead and slide the injector out of here. I'm going to look up. They got a little filter up in there. I typically don't find much of anything in there, but my biggest concern is more about this area right here. Let's see if this will fit. Yes, it does. Okay. Now you basically just need to run 12 volts to these fuel injectors to open them up. I'm using this little. It's just a DC transformer I scavenged from somewhere years ago. It's 15 volts, but it's low amperage. That kind of assures me I'm not going to burn one of these out or whatever. But this is what I use to open up pencils. I rigged it, wired up a little on and off switch. I originally put this together years ago. As you can see, it says Ford there for fuel injectors on a car, but I use them for dirt bikes too. And the only thing is it doesn't plug in directly. I don't have a terminal hooked up directly to plug into a dirt bike, and all these bikes take different plug-ins anyway. So I just, as you see, I just stuck some safety wire in there to tap into the. Now the interesting thing about these is it doesn't really matter which one's positive or negative. You can change the polarity around. It does the same thing. It opens the injector. Oop, I had it open, and I heard it open. Okay, I feel it opening. Okay, let me go and get some brake cleaner. Okay, I've stuck a rubber hose, clear rubber hose, but over the end of this right here. Where's my brake cleaner? Yeah, here it is. I'm gonna put some into the hose. All right, you can see it's down there. Let me get my little. Okay, open the pintle, the ejector, there we go, and we should see some fuel squirt out the top. You don't want to shoot the air too strong because it blows it off. There we go. That's a backflow. Now we're going to flow the normal way. I always like to start with the backflow, and then I'm going to flow the normal direction. This side is going to take a different size hose. See if I can get this black one over it. Yes, we can. Remove that rubber O-ring. There you go. Give me a little more room. Okay, same thing. Fill up with brake cleaner. Obviously, you want to make sure these hoses are clean. You don't want to send any trash into the injector. Alright, grab my air. Make sure these ain't touching. Open the pintle. This time we're going to watch down here. There we go. Okay, let me take all this apart. Put it back on the bike. See if this does the trick. Okay, we're getting chintzy here. After backflowing the ejector, it still wouldn't fire up. Started questioning that terminal right there. I looked in there, I'll show you in a second. It looks like the little pinch part that slides over the other side of the terminal. It's not pinching that tight. So what I did is I stuck some safety wire in there with my banana clips and stuck another little terminal into the ejector over there. You know, just get a connection on the ejector and, well, check this out. So we're getting somewhere. So it looks like I'm going to have to repair that terminal there. Unfortunately, he didn't bring us the other wire harness, so I could have just removed that from the other wire harness. So I'm going to see what I can do, see if I can pull these pins out and maybe give them a little bit of a correction. Let's see what we can do with it. Okay, this sucker has some serious grip. Fuel tank. Hooked up to auxiliary battery source. Fuel tank hooked up to auxiliary power source. I fixed the connection at the fuel injector. Again, this is what happens when someone else has been fooling it for quite a while trying to get it running right and they just didn't figure it out. You're going to run into all kinds of strange gremlins, and all you can do is chase down one at a time. So no matter what I did, even after I fixed that, it would run, then it wouldn't run, then it would run, then it wouldn't run. I checked power coming directly from the harness going to the tank without the tank hooked up. And I would use this drill right here to spin the motor. Since this is not electric start, I can just put this drill on it right here, spin the motor, and I would get power. I'd get about 10 volts at just cranking speed. Obviously it'll go higher once the bike starts up, it gets running fast, but 10 volts is enough to run that pump good enough. For some reason, I would connect the pump up, and now it's rejecting sending power to the pump. What I would do is I would tap in the lines with the voltmeter as the tank was connected and not get any voltage. I'm going to try again and I'll show you. Okay, this is from the harness that would go to the fuel pump. I have these alligator clips hooked up to it. These wires just run down here and back up here where they connect to the wire that goes to the fuel pump. Sorry about the fan. And I have them connected with these little safety wires. Then I have my voltmeter hooked up to it so we can keep track of what is going down the line. Put this where you can see it. Alright, see how it's reading 0 volts right now? Watch when I spin the motor. Let me get it out of the way. Actually, let me put this right where you can see it better. Sorry, it's raining out here too. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's running now. Holy cow, what's going on? What is going on? Runs 1 minute, doesn't run the next. You know, I've seen these with these KXs. They have a safety. If you watch one of my videos on the KX250, a fuel pump replacement, if there's too much of a load on the fuel pump, the computer will reject it. So what I'm going to do, now that it's trying to work with us again, is I'm going to hook it back up. So I'm going to hook the fuel pump back up the regular way. I'm tired of kicking this thing. I'm using this drill. Alright, let's see. That ran for a second. Okay, let's see if it'll run again. Or has it already rejected the fuel pump again? We might just be burning the fuel pressure in the line. It might have already given up on that fuel pump. Yep, I bet it has. Let me reconnect my little gig and see what's going on. Okay, I have that all hooked up again, and it goes to the fuel pump again, running power to the fuel pump, but also tapped into it my voltmeter. I have a feeling it's not going to send any voltage this time. Let's see. I have a feeling that it's rejecting the fuel pump. And I keep getting a glare on this thing no matter what I do. I think you can barely see it, but you can see it. Let me get that a little better for you. Man. There you go, you can see it like that, I'm sure. Alright, let's see what kind of voltage it kicks. No voltage at all. But watch this. Now it's kicking no voltage. Watch this. If I disconnect it from the fuel pump, I'm just going to disconnect one wire here. Look, voltage reads again. And watch this. We'll get 12 volts when we spin the motor, or 10 volts when we spin the motor. Oh, wrong way. See that? Now watch, when I connect it back up, it's going to reject the fuel pump. See? It's already reading 0. It has already rejected the fuel pump. Watch this. Actually, it's getting some voltage, but it's reading backwards, so let me transfer these around. Okay. Let's try it again. It started to fire up. Okay. I'm gonna pull this back off, see if we get it cranked up again. Alright, let's watch the voltage here. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, just based on experience, this fuel pump just needs to be replaced. Every so often it's putting too much of a load on the system, and the computer will reject the fuel pump. That's what's happening. I could sit here and go back and forth and keep testing it but I already know we need that little rubber piece inside that fuel pump, and to get that, well, you either got to buy a whole OEM pump or buy some of the pump rebuild kits like Quantum or All Balls that actually comes with them little rubber pieces. So I'm going to look for one of them kits that have them little rubber pieces in it and get a fuel pump. Oh, by the way, check down in the description if you're having a fuel pump issue on a KX250F or 450, you're looking just to fix the fuel pump, especially if it's one of them issues where it runs fine when it's cold, but when it gets hot, it doesn't start up. It was a KX450 that I did the video on, but it's the same thing on the 250F. Same pump they've been using for over 10 years, even though they went to electric start. It's still the same system that likes to reject a pump under certain conditions. So check the description for that. So yeah, this has been a journey. First started out with a fuel pump that wasn't working right. We got that straightened out. Bike started, ran, but then it just started to run funny and not run anymore. Thought it could have been the ejector, backflowed it, still didn't want to start up. Thought it was a bad connection at the injector, worked with that a little bit, got it to start up, but then it stopped running again, and chased it down to the computer rejecting the fuel pump every so often. I didn't catch, like I said, I didn't catch that part on camera. It did that for me off camera where it just started rejecting it. When it wouldn't start, wouldn't even send any voltage to the fuel pump, and then if you let it sit for a little bit, you might get lucky and all of a sudden it'll start running fine again. So stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to order a fuel pump for this, either the whole fuel pump or a fuel pump kit. Get that straightened out, put it back on the bike, and let's get this bike up and running again. And then we're going to go from there. I don't know how much more work we're going to do to it at that point, but we'll figure it out. Holy cow, got a farm in here. Oh, Beavis, by the way, he has like a little sore on top of his head. Look at this, like an ingrown feather. It's gross. The wife's taking him to the vet, and I guess they put him on antibiotics or whatever. Keep him in your prayers, guys. Also, he's shedding his feathers. See, his tail feathers are kind of missing there, but they do that yearly. That kind of comes back. But yeah, keep him in your prayers, hoping his top of his head goes back to normal. We need Beavis around here. He keeps all these female chickens nice and safe. And Paul Harrell, a guy that I've enjoyed watching on YouTube for quite a while. That's him not too long ago. He ended up with terminal cancer, and he just posted this video right here. Man, he's going to be missed. I really enjoyed his videos, so yeah, shout out to Paul Harrell. When I first started making these YouTube videos, I kind of took some cues from him on how to put videos together, as well as other people like Ab the Tool Guy and some of the other people I enjoy on YouTube. You know, because I was new to this, and I'm still new to this. I'm still learning every day, but it's just me here in the shop. And well, I think we got this KX250 about figured out. So stay tuned for part 2. I'm gonna call the owner, get that stuff ordered up. I think he has a list of other stuff he wants me to do to the bike while it's here. So we're gonna address all that in part 2. This weekend, I'm taking my 2022 YZ250 two-stroke to Tampa MX on Sunday. It's going to be a good day. Still enjoying that bike. I haven't ridden my other 2 bikes since I've gotten there. I am starting to miss the 125 though, but man, this thing's just been so much fun. My 125's back here. She's ready to be ridden again. There's my 2018 YZ250. I'm actually about to do a frame swap on her. I have a very good condition new frame, I guess you can call it. But yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm going to be putting a video together on how to swap your frames super fast and easy. And now I got to pick up this mess. Whew, this was a tough one to figure out. The shop smells like gas, exhaust fumes, you name it. But yeah, I hope all you guys have a great weekend of riding. Again, I'll be at Tampa MX on Sunday, taking out the YZ250 two-stroke. Hope to see you out there or wherever you're riding. Hey, I appreciate every single one of you guys that watch these videos. It means a lot to me. Catch you in the next video.